I'm sorry, Metro TV, let me give you 30 seconds, please. Thank you. Welcome to the regular scheduled meeting for Government Oversight Accountability. I am the chairperson, Councilwoman Donna Purvis. I have excused absences from my co-chair, Councilman Piaggiatini. We also have excused absences from Councilman Joseph, Councilwoman Bast, Councilman Kevin Kramer, Councilman Scott Reed.
I think that's the only four.
Okay, so we do have, oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm joined virtually by Councilman Scott Reed, Councilman Rena Weber, Councilwoman Hawkins, and Councilwoman McCraney. So we do have a quorum. No, we do not. Okay, we're still waiting on one other person. We're sorry. Just give us a few more seconds, please. That's 1, 4, 5, yeah. Yes.
This meeting is being held pursuant to KO 61.826 and Council Rule 5A, read in full.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Hawkins, are you still there so that we have a quorum? Okay, so she's actually showing up, okay. Yes, all right, thank you.
So we are now joined in chambers by Councilman Liniger and President Eckerson. So our first, the only thing that we're going to be addressing this evening is an ordinance of the Louisville Jefferson County Metro Council to approve the reduction of boundaries by the city of Old Brownsboro Place of a tract of land totaling approximately 5.5 acres located at 7302 Brownsboro Road, returning said tract to the unincorporated area of the former county of Jefferson. I need a motion. Thank you. It's been properly moved. We have Jefferson County Attorney Travis Feaster here, who is going to speak on this, as well as the mayor, Mayor Carter, who wants to go first.
I can start just to kind of give you the very basics, and then perhaps Mayor Carter can give some more details. Travis Feaster, Assistant County Attorney. So we received this matter, I believe it was last Monday. To my knowledge, this may be the first reduction of boundaries since merger in Louisville Metro. I think of it as the opposite of an annexation. So typically we see suburban cities annexing adjoining properties, St. Matthews, J-Town, expanding their borders to take in more properties and then absorb more taxes and provide more services to those properties. This is the opposite. So the city of Old Brownsboro Place is proposing to reduce its boundaries to about 5.5 acres would leave Old Brownsboro Place and be in the quote-unquote unincorporated area. It's been pointed out to me that technically everything's incorporated because of merger and that gets complicated, but it's not within the USD. It'd be Louisville Metro General outside of the USD, not associated with any other city. So that's what's being proposed. The KRS deadline is really tight here. We only have 30 days. It's worded a little bit oddly, but in short, this has to move out of committee today and get to council for a final vote in order for us to have an opportunity to look at it. Happy to take any questions, and otherwise, as was alluded to, the mayor of the city of Old Brownsboro Place is here and could probably talk more about why they're wanting to do this.
Well, hello, everybody. We wanted to
Hold
do
on,
this-
President, or Mayor Carter, hold on a second, because I've got some questions for the county attorney, and then we'll get to you, if that's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. President.
Travis, just so we're all on the same page and anyone watching understands, we have, unlike any other annexation situation, annexation, we're required to vote yes. So the fact that comes before us is just a foregone conclusion. We could all vote no, and the end result is the outcome would still be yes. Under this scenario, we're not required to accept this property. Is that correct or incorrect?
It's correct that we are not required to accept this. Not all annexations are forced on us, but there's a threshold that most places can meet. So, but generally, yes, there is more discretion here than in most annexations we've seen.
So if we were to reject this for some reason, this city would have to continue to own and maintain this property, correct?
So I don't believe they own the property, but it would stay within their boundaries, and they'd be, required to provide the sort of same level of services that they currently do. Those sorts of
I've
things.
misused the term own, within their boundaries and maintain it. Is there anyone here from Louisville that knows, one of the questions that I've always asked on annexations prior to the changing of the statutes that required us to accept those, one of my greatest concerns as District 26 councilperson was always, what's the financial of what we're giving up? For instance, when a subdivision might have been annexed to J-Town, my first question would be, when's the last time we paved the roads? What's the road condition? If we've recently paved them, then we're paying for those folks, we paid for it, and then they're moving over to J-Town. What is the occupational taxes we're going to be giving up from our registries that would go to J-Town? When roads, for instance, weren't paved, my question was, what's it going to cost to pave them, and when do they do? And one theory being, if the roads were in terrible condition and it was going to cost $500,000 to fix them, and they were going to, that $500,000 would have to be spent in the next couple of years, one argument was always, all right, great, get it off our books and send it over to J-Town. I'm just picking on J-Town. Under this scenario, with this particular piece of property that they want to give to the city of Louisville, is there any expense involved with it? Any costs that we know that we can amortize and know what kind of financial situations we're putting ourselves into on an annual maintenance basis or whatever else?
So there's not much that I can give you as far as hard and fast numbers. Here's what I can say. We asked the same group of agencies, MSD, OMB, Public Works Planning, to weigh in on this. Now, that's not required. Our statute says annexations. You get more time with annexations, but 3 of the 4 were able to weigh in. We haven't heard from Public Works yet, but I can explain why in a second. All those agencies saw minimal impact. From a planning perspective, Old Brownsboro Place doesn't have zoning discretion, so these people are effectively under Louisville Metro zoning control anyway. From a OMB perspective, this is currently an uninhabited lot. The statute is specific. There's a different process for inhabited, but this is uninhabited property, so right now it's generating virtually nothing. If it were to be developed, Metro would collect some small amount of tax from that residential development, unless it were to rezone, of course. But it's zoned R4. There was a subdivision plan approved in 2023 that would allow 8 residential lots here. And again, that would not be much, but it'd be some small positive gain for Metro. As far as road network goes, there is currently not any internal circulation. There is an old MSD facility that was decommissioned, and they do have some assets that are still out there. They have what appears to maybe be a gravel road. I haven't been out there, so Google Maps may be out of date, but it's a minimal path that MSD maintains per their easements. And otherwise, it's off Brownsboro Road, which is a state road. So really no obvious financial obligation on the part of Metro. Old Brownsboro Place does not have its own police department, so LMPD already serves this site. Potentially, if Louisville Fire were to make a run, I think they might have an agreement with Anchorage, Middletown. So that might be, again, some speculative, very minor cost to a Metro agency, but no immediate impact. And if there is likely to be one, it's probably a very small tax benefit to Metro from the collections of what might be developed here.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. What is this area zoned for?
Zoned R4, so just standard
Residential.
single-family residential.
Is this close to MSD's Hike Creek facility?
Good question. I'm not sure. They have I think a previous pump station that was decommissioned on site and a smaller sort of remaining item. Let me see if I can pull their comments real quick and figure out exactly what that's called. But I'm not sure exactly how close the Hikes Creek facility is.
Mayor Carter, can you answer that for us, please?
That is Goose Creek that runs through there. I don't know what MSD calls that facility, but the only thing that's left there is a pumping station. And I'm not even really sure what that pumping station does. There used to be a treatment plant down there that serviced this city for MSD, but we're hooked into the regular sewer system like everybody else around here now. So it's something to do with flood protection, with that pumping station that's down there now.
Prior to the proposed annexation, have you all received any interest from any developers?
No, we did have the one developer that, got those plans approved back in 2023, and he was not going to comply with ordinances that were in place with the city of Old Brownsboro Place, which, being home ruled cities, there wasn't a lot that we could do about it personally, but it could have caused a lot of problems and lawsuits with some of the people that were already living here. And that was part of the reason why we went ahead and started this process. And another thing, that they were going to build a road in the floodplain to service these homes. And we thought that the tax benefit that we were going to receive was not going to outweigh what the road maintenance cost would be. Since we've passed this ordinance, though, the developer gave up, and he sold the piece of property to one of our long-term residents here that owns the original farmhouse that used to be part of this property. And he is not going to have any plans to do anything with it at all. But we had already passed the ordinance before we found out that he bought the property from the developer. So there's no financial responsibility to anybody at this time now. It's kind of a lose for us, really. I mean, but we've already passed the ordinance, so here we are. But we didn't want to deal with all the hassles of the lawsuits that were going to be filed by the different neighbors because the homes weren't built to specs. They were going to be built on the hillside, and all the garage doors were going to have to be in the front of the houses. Well, our ordinances state that all the garage doors have to be at the rear of the side of the house, and it was just going to be impossible for him to build that way in that situation. And then MSD told him that he couldn't build a bridge at the original entrance that they were going to put in because it was not going to be out of the floodplain. And he went back and forth with MSD on that and finally got approval from the state to use the MSD service road to build on, which is a very dangerous entrance to begin with. So,
Eric
I don't
Carter,
know how you-
I've got a question
Go
for
ahead.
you, if that's okay, sir.
yeah.
In listening to you, you raised the issue of there was concerns of your citizens within your city about how this might be developed, including,
Right.
but not limited to, garages in the front versus garages in the back. You talked about the concern of litigation. And so when I hear that your residents might result or turn to litigation because of the way they feel about the potential development, you do realize that by your city turning this over to Metro Louisville, we could authorize the developments that your residents and your citizens within your small city are so concerned about. You guys do realize that's a possibility, right?
Yes, I do.
And your residents and your citizens are willing to accept the fact that potentially, under Louisville zoning, we might put things in there that otherwise your folks would disagree with, and they're going to have to live with that if this proceeds forward. You guys do realize that, right?
Oh, yes, I do realize that, but this property was purchased privately, and the conversation I had with the resident that bought that piece of property, he doesn't plan on doing anything with it.
Understood.
He doesn't want anything. He's a very wealthy person, and he does not want anything built behind his house, and those homes were going to back right up to his property, which where his home is situated on the property on his lot, his original lot. He would have been very close to the back of those homes that were going to be built.
Understood. I've got no further questions, Madam.
But hindsight's always 20/20. I would have, we would have probably not voted on this ordinance or spent the money to have the survey done and everything that we went through to get this passed if we knew that he was going to purchase that piece of property. But after running it by our commission, all the commissioners except for one felt that it was could be something that could rear its ugly head again later on down the road and cause a bunch of legal problems again. So they were not opposed to keeping the ordinance in place.
Councilwoman McCraney.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I would like to suggest, Mayor Carter, that you really think about what President Ackerson just stated. My fear for Old Brownsboro Place is that if it turns into property for Louisville Metro, we, of course, have all the zoning rights and could approve something that your residents would certainly not probably buy into and would not have a say in. And so is there any way that you could revoke your ordinance? Because I'm hearing you say that you approved the ordinance before he bought the property, and in retrospect, maybe you would not have done that. Isn't there a way that you could revoke your ordinance, or I don't know what you would call it, or recall it, or what have you? Because I think the underlying real message here is once Louisville Metro gets a hold of the property and it truly belongs to Louisville Metro, that property development could look like something that your ordinances that are in place now prohibits. So I throw it to you to ask about the possibility of keeping the property.
Oh, I would be willing to keep the property myself, but I don't think I have the support of our commission on that issue.
May I ask Travis a question, Madam Chairwoman?
Excuse me, we have county attorney here that wants to clarify some comments that you made, Councilwoman McCraney.
And it sounded like you were just going to ask me a question, Councilwoman, so I don't know what's better if I go ahead and say what I want to say first. Maybe that, and then we'll see if your question's still relevant.
Okay.
I just wanted to point out that the city of Old Brownsboro Place does not have zoning authority, so, they would not be the determiner.
I thought I said that. They would not have zoning. We would have the zoning rights and all the privileges that come with that.
Correct, but that reflects the present situation as well. They are not one of the suburban cities with zoning authority, so it's our decision today, and regardless of whether or not this passes, the zoning would still lie with Louisville Metro if there were a zone change proposed. Now, they may have in their ordinances some design restrictions and things that wouldn't apply.
That's what I was referring to, their ordinance that restricts certain, like he was talking about the garages and building a bridge and all of that. They would not have one say in the matter.
No, and from what I understand from the Kentucky League of Cities, when I talked to their attorney a couple of weeks ago, if any of our city ordinances in Old Brownsboro Place are enforced, they have to be enforced by the neighbors. If a neighbor takes a neighbor to court, then that decision will stand. But in other retrospect, all Louisville Metro ordinances override anything that we have. That the city of Old Brownsboro Place itself cannot enforce these ordinances that we have in place. They have to be done by the neighbors, the residents that actually live here. That was the understanding I got from the attorney at the Kentucky League of Cities. But I really, truly don't think that this is going to be developed. If anything, it might get changed. The zoning might get changed, and he lets a cell tower get put on this piece of property, and our loss would actually be your gain in this situation. So I don't know why you guys would be opposed of it. I kind of feel like that if I would have actually known that the developer was going to sell this piece of property to the neighbor, I would have just left it in the city of Old Brownsboro Place. We've already passed the ordinance, and I don't have the support of our commission to reverse this decision. We've already discussed it, so.
I'd like to ask the attorneys a question again, Madam Chairwoman.
Sure.
Travis, if we deny this request, would it automatically stay within Old Brownsboro Road's purview?
Yes, so under the statute, if Metro, objects and declares its intention, then we would need an amendment to do so, but yes, it would prevent them from reducing the boundaries. That being said, the statute also requires them to sort of pass a subsequent ordinance actually implementing this, so even if Metro says yes, that doesn't mean this will happen. They still need to grant their own internal final approval. This is not Brownsboro's last chance to abandon this process if they decide to go another direction after we've taken a look.
My next question is, do we have an opportunity to table this, or are we under a time constraint?
We are under a time constraint, and I need to pass the mic to President Eckerson.
Yeah, Councilman McCraney, we are under time constraint. Severe time constraint here. And what I'm hearing, I'm going to support this because, it's property, it doesn't sound like it's going to cost us money. It's not taking money off our tax rolls, which is always a concern, especially with budget shortfalls that are likely coming in the future. So I don't see it as a negative to this at all. So I'm going to support this. And what I've heard the Mayor Carter say is at present, that property is owned by an individual with no intention of selling it or using it for anything else. And so they've got that peace of mind. the concern for them will ultimately be someday if that person passes away and this property passes through their estate and the heirs sell it, or if that property owner moves and changes his mind or whatever else. That's all up in the air. So I see no reason for the City of Louisville not to accept this because there is no cost to us. And at the end of the day, it's the risk they take based upon the property owner's decision in the future about what will happen with this particular piece of property. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hawkins, could you please turn your camera back on so that we can proceed with voting, please?
I had a question for Travis while we're killing time. Yeah. So you said that there was a reason why we didn't hear back from one of the agencies. I think you said it was Public Works. Was it just in terms of the fact that there is no impact?
I think so. I mean, it's also a much shorter window than we typically give these agencies in an annexation context. But yeah, the only roadway that's relevant to this property currently is Brownsboro Road, and it's a state road. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have a quorum to vote. Clerk, we need to do a roll call vote.
Will I be needed to vote for this? Okay. Well, I'm not going to be in the system, so please record me as a yes.
Voting's open. Committeemember Hawkins.
Yes.
Committeemember McCraney.
Yes.
Committeemember Reed.
Yes.
Chair Purvis.
Yes.
Chair, you have 6 yes votes.
Okay, all right, it passes, so this will go on the consent calendar. Thank you. We do not have any other business this evening, so this meeting is now adjourned. Thank
Mayor
you.
Carter, thank you for your service to your community.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to do this.
Thank you.
See you at your meeting. Thank you.